Let's get it. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Friday. And if you guys are tuning in on Saturday, whatever the case may be, hope you guys are off to a great Saturday as well. So, today's show is going to be action-packed. Lots of stuff to get into on today's show. Make sure we have audio going well. Yes, we are good to go. So, lots of stuff to get into on today's show. Obviously, the time has finally come. November 22nd has now arrived, and we are going to be set for Ring 4, which is going to be a sensational card. One of the best cards maybe ever put together in the history of boxing. Now, I thought February 22nd card was great this year. This one certainly does rival that card as well. So we'll be giving you the fight breakdown and previews of all the fights going down on that card tomorrow, as well as also there's a big fight card going down in Japan on Monday morning. So I'll be giving you guys a fight preview of all those fight cards, as well as some boxing news as well. So if you guys are tuning in, make sure to go keep the chat active. Any questions, topics, debates, or picks on the fight, make sure to leave it in the chat, and I'll make sure to address them. Your comments will also pop up on the screen as well. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, please make sure to hit that likes button for me. I always definitely appreciate that as well. So let's start off with this. You know, the fight card that we're going to be getting into for tomorrow, all four of the big fights, the World Championship level fights, they all would be main events any other time of the year. If they so wanted to, this could have been the main event, each one of these fights for the entire month of November. Listen, all these are main event worthy. One of these fights are going to be going down, and which should be a main event, and it's going to be kicking off at about 4:30, 4 o'clock, whatever the case may be. That's how stacked this card is. So I'm just going to go in order from the main event down to the final main card fight, and we're just going to break them down. Here's the main event. David Benavidez with Anthony Yarde, light heavyweight showdown for the WBC title. All right. I'm going to be honest about this fight, and I've been saying this pretty vocally since it got announced. I'm not the biggest fan of this matchup. Stylists typically make fights, and I just feel like Anthony Yarde is going to fall right into David Benavidez's lap, and David Benavidez is going to take care of him. I don't think it's a very competitive fight. I feel like David Benavidez is multiple levels above Anthony Yarde. Well, I've always said this about Yarde. He's a very good fighter, but I feel like he's never reached his peak pinnacle self. And on top of that, I feel like this is a man that just can never quite become a world champion status. He's always just right there knocking on the door, but can't bust through that door. I don't think tomorrow is going to be the day he does so. So for Anthony Yarde, obviously he's a good fighter. He's 27-3 in his career, 24 KOs. He's an orthodox fighter with 6 foot height, and he's also got a 72-inch reach, 34 years of age. Well, David Benavidez, he is 30-0, 24 KOs, orthodox boxer at 6'2", 77-inch reach advantage, has a massive reach advantage over Yarde, and he's also much younger, 6 years younger, him being at 28 years old. So here's the situation. The Mexican Monster should go in there tomorrow, absolutely annihilate Anthony Yarde. I don't see the fight going the distance. Maybe it does, but I see this fight going where David Benavidez gets the stoppage, or let's call it roughly 8-9 rounds. Somewhere around there is where I see it happening at. Yarde, obviously, has fought some great fights. He's fought Kovalev. He's fought Beterbiev. He's known for fading late into fights, though. And I just don't see him breaking down that door tomorrow. I see this being another situation where he gets a world title shot and he fails and doesn't break down the door. That's what I see happening because David Benavidez is special. Listen, this is a man who has already done his job at 168. He's gone up to 175 now. He's already world champion. He has done his job at 175. And listen, this is a man who I do believe will be a cruiserweight one day and be a cruiserweight world champion after he takes care of business at 175. I just don't see Anthony Yarde stopping him. I feel there's a massive gap between the top three guys at light heavyweight, Bivol, Beterbiev, and Benavidez, and everybody else. And there's not that Yarde is bad. He's a very good fighter, but he's not on the level of David Benavidez. The Monster should do his job tomorrow. I would be absolutely shocked if Benavidez does not still have his world championship come Monday when I talk to you guys again. That's my thoughts, but we'll see what happens. That's just a very simple fight breakdown because I just don't see it being that compelling of a fight. I just think David Benavidez is much better than Anthony Yarde, but we'll see what happens. Here's the fight. And listen, this is, in my eyes, the main event. I get it. We look at all the situations at hand right now. Always incredible fights. Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney. This is the main event. This is the one, especially if you're in America, that American fans are so hyped about. If we were to say, what's the fight that everyone's going to tune in for, the max amount of people tuning in will be for, I think it's going to be this fight right here. Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney, a Southern man versus West Coast man. There is great rivalry. The build-up's been phenomenal for this fight. It is the fight that I think all fans are most excited for. Welterweight showdown for the WBO title. Norman holds the belt currently while he has a 28-0 record, 22 of those coming by way of knockout, including what is going to most likely be the knockout of the year that happened against Jin Sasaki earlier this year. He's an orthodox fighter standing at 5'9", 70-inch reach advantage, and he is just 23 years of age. Swinging over to Devin Haney, on the other hand, he is 32-0, 15 KOs, orthodox, also stands at 5'9", 71-inch reach advantage, so just about 1 inch over Brian Norman Jr. He is 26 years old. I've already praised Devin Haney for his accomplished and his resume, so on and so forth. But Brian Norman, listen, when we talk about power punchers at 147, this is that guy. He is aggressive, heavy-handed. He's unbeaten, defending WBO champ. He relies on pressure and power. He goes for the kill. This is a man that wants to go in the pocket and go to war. That's what Brian Norman does. He did the job. As an American, went out to Japan, defended his belt, and on top of that, he walked away with the knockout of the year. That is uncharted territory for most Americans. Brian Norman Jr. did just that. This is a man that's all-action fighter, wants to go for the kill, wants the KO. He is a tough physical fighter. That is who Brian Norman Jr. is. On the flip side, Devin Haney, former undisputed lightweight champion. He's now chasing a third world championship division. He's slick. He's got the upper hand defensively, much more tactical, much more elite ring IQ. He's got the full package in that regard, but this chin's a little bit questionable. Now, that wasn't always the case, but we can't deny what we witnessed against Ryan Garcia, and I'm not always going to bring that up because Ryan Garcia was on steroids, so we have to throw that out the window a little bit. But I can't deny the film in which I did witness. Devin Haney was gun-shy his entire fight in the New York Times Square card. He did not want to fight, had one of the worst performances I've seen him do. And then we go back to the previous fight, which was a year before that against Ryan Garcia, and the man got dropped over and over again. Now, I always give him credit. He got back up each and every single time, but his chin is concerning. And Ryan Garcia has power, but I'm not sure about that Southern power that Brian Norman possesses. So that is going to be the big question. Because if Devin Haney gets clipped by Brian Norman Jr., which is possible, Devin Haney could go down real quickly. It's going to be a concern to see what happens inside that ring, because if we're talking about this fight, we know that Devin Haney doesn't have the best chin in the world. And we know that Brian Norman throws with power. And so here's the situation at hand and why I think it's such a remarkable fight. If this fight goes to the decision, Devin Haney is going to win it. If this fight is stopped before round 12, I know sure well it's not Devin Haney stopping Brian Norman. Therefore, that means that Brian Norman would have stopped Devin Haney. So what is my prediction? Here it is. I'm going to go Devin Haney. Listen, I think Brian Norman has every ability to possess the right to go out there and knock out Devin Haney. I think it's a very good chance. When I say this, I say it I don't say it confidently. I really don't. I don't see it confidently that Devin Haney is going to win this fight. But if I have to make my prediction, which I'm doing right now, I am going to predict the fact that Devin Haney will pull it off, will get the knockout, or will get the win by decision in the 12th round, after the 12th round of the fight, and he will become the new world champion at 147, solidify himself as one of the pound-for-pound greats of this era. That's what I see happening. And if Brian Norman knocks it out, then I wouldn't be shocked one bit. This is a 50-50 type fight. It could go either way, as I said. If it's stopped within 12 rounds, Brian Norman Jr. will be your victor because Devin Haney is not knocking Brian Norman Jr. out. If on the flip side of this, as I said, Devin Haney is still standing by the end of the 12th round, he will then hold that belt because I don't think Brian Norman can outsmart Devin Haney for the duration of 12 rounds and win this fight. But this is the most exciting fight on the card. This is the main event in my eyes. I think all fans are going to be ecstatic to watch this. Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney. This is a massive fight for the world. But when we talk about America big fights, this is a big one right here. Both guys did an excellent job at building this fight up, and I'm most excited for this one on the card tomorrow. Abdullah Mason, Sam Noakes, lightweight WBO title. Sam Noakes obviously coming over from the UK, while Abdullah Mason being the future of American boxing, at least the way that we have been proclaiming him to be. Listen, Abdullah Mason has a chance to go out there and make history. He will be one of the youngest world champions in the history of American boxing if he can pull us off tomorrow. Mason comes into this fight 19-0, 17 KOs, a southpaw fighter, 5'9", 71-inch reach, and he stands at just 21 years of age. While Sam Noakes is 28 years old, 72-inch reach, has about an inch there, also has an inch in terms of height, standing at 5'10". He's an orthodox fighter, 15 KOs, 17 wins in his career with 0 losses. Sam Noakes is obviously a very good fighter. If you're not familiar with him, he's a rugged British fighter. He's very physical, very strong. He's relentless, pressure fighter, and he has proven durability. But Abdullah Mason, this is the man who American boxing fans have looked at and said, you know what? He's the future of our sport. Still got a long ways away from being that guy officially, but he has the tools, the potential, the accolades to become that next guy. But it all comes down to tomorrow, because we have not seen Abdullah Mason perform yet at the level where we can confidently say, okay, he has arrived. He hasn't become world champion yet. This is his opportunity. We've seen him fight decent guys, but no one near the ability of a Sam Noakes. We've never seen him fight a 12-round world championship level stage. So everything that we've been hyping up Abdullah Mason for all these years, we get to witness it tomorrow, and that's what makes it so special. Sam Noakes is a very good veteran fighter. He has worked his way to this point. He's relentless, a pressure fighter, so on and so forth. Abdullah Mason, though, has a chance to shock the world and become that guy officially. He has a chance to. He's a rising American prodigy. He's lightning fast hands, southpaw angles, high KO ratio. This is a man who's very, very special. And if he does not win tomorrow, it's not the end-all be-all. He will be back. He's just 21 years of age. But if Abdullah Mason wants to be that guy, it all comes down to tomorrow. Because if we have in America a 21-year-old world champion like Abdullah Mason, that's huge for the sport. That's huge that we have that guy officially in the sport again. And so we'll see what happens. If my prediction were to be made right now, it's Abdullah Mason. I think it goes to decision. It's going to be a close fight. I think Noakes' toughness and makes him a very dangerous fighter. I don't think he's going to ever back down in this fight. I think Mason's speed and skill should edge him out, though. I think Abdullah Mason has the ability to. Sam Noakes could cause problems for Abdullah Mason. This will be a very close fight. But his ring IQ, his skill should translate over in this fight to give Abdullah Mason the edge come the end of the fight and become the victor and a world champion for America. Here's another one, and this one's still just crazy that we have this on the undercard. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the man whom I deem as a top 5 fighter in all the world, is defending his 2 belts against Puma Martinez, also known as Fernando Martinez, in the super flyweight division. The WBA, WBC, and IBF world titles are all on the line. Bam Rodriguez has been very vocal about this, that if he wins this fight tomorrow, he will possess 3 of the belts. He's then going to go for the 4th one to become undisputed in 2026. We'll see if that gets done. But Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 22-0, 15 KO, southpaw fighter, 5'4", 67-inch reach, and he's just 25 years of age. Yes, his resume is remarkable for his age. While Fernando Puma Martinez is 18-0, 9 KOs, orthodox fighter, standing at 5'4", 66-inch reach, and 33 years old. The veteran fighter here is obviously him. For Bam, already a 2-division world champion, a slick southpaw, explosive combinations, one of the pound-for-pound stars in boxing at just 25 years old. And might I add this too? Bam Rodriguez is one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing. He is on a short list of guys that you just want to watch. You can't miss a Bam Rodriguez fight. Listen, Bam is one of the most exciting fighters. Why? Because you have a combination of power, aggression, attack, as well as elite skill set. We see somebody like Inoue. He's the only comparison really to that, where he has all of it. Bud Crawford, throw him in there as well. But this kid is so special. And if he goes out there tomorrow, has 3 of the belts at 115, you can't keep denying this man. This man's greatness is evident. Now, it's not going to be an easy task, though. Puma Martinez, like I said, 18-0 in his career. He's an Argentina warrior, volume puncher. He's upset Kazuta Ioka twice in his career with massive wins there, but he does lack KO power. Just half of his wins come by way of knockout, and this is going to be a problem. That's why I think Bam Rodriguez easily wins this fight, and it's probably going to be by stoppage, but if it goes to the distance, he's going to win it by unanimous decision quite easily. And here's why. Puma Martinez will bring the pressure. He's going to have a lot of ability to go put pressure on Bam Rodriguez, but he's not going to match the power that Bam Rodriguez has. And on top of that, Puma is not a better fighter than Bam. There's nothing that Puma Martinez will head into the ring with tomorrow that is better than Bam Rodriguez. And that's a problem, because if you don't have any advantage against your opponent, and your opponent is also younger than you, much more explosive, has the power, has all the intangibles, you're going to be in for world trouble. And that's what I see for Puma Martinez. Good veteran, great fighter. He's done upsets before, but he's never fought the likes of a man of Bam Rodriguez's caliber. And I think he's going to learn that quite easily tomorrow, and it's going to be a tough opponent. So Bam Rodriguez, I do see coming away with 3 world championships with the goal of becoming undisputed in the calendar year of 2026. The other fight on the main card, in the ring card right now, is Vito Mielnicki Jr. He's fighting Samuel Nmomah, middleweight fight. I got Vito in this fight. He's 21-1-1, 12 KOs, orthodox fighter, standing at 6 foot, 7'4" reach. He's just 23 years of age. While Samuel Nmomah, he is 21-1, 5 KOs, orthodox, 5'11", and he's 30 years of age. Listen, Vito has a great opportunity now to go out there and fight on the ring card. I cannot wait for the rest of the world to see him. This is a man who already has had many events in his career top rank. He's a young American prospect, sharp jab. He's improving defensively, good fundamentals. But Samuel Nmomah, he's a Nigerian fighter, low KO ratio, low power in that sense. I think this is going to be a little tune-up fight for Vito Mielnicki. To get himself growing, get himself another big fight, staying active on a ring card. Remember, he's likely going over TKO now. This is going to be a huge transition for himself. I think Vito will win by decision, a 10-round fight. I don't think it's going to be very competitive. So that's what I've got for the ring card. So let's head over to Japan now, because Japan has a big card going down on Monday in the morning, my time. In the main event, Tenshin Nasukawa versus Takuma Inoue, bantamweight vacant WBC World Championship fight. Tenshin Nasukawa, this is fighting for a world championship in just his 7th or 8th career fight. He's 7-0, 2 KOs in his career. Southpaw fighter, 5'5", 6 foot, 65-inch reach, 27 years of age. Remember, former kickboxing superstar, transitioned into boxing. Here he is now. Takuma Inoue, the brother of Naoya Inoue, 20-2 with 5 KOs, orthodox fighter, 5'4", 6 foot, 64-inch reach, 29 years of age. I think Tenshin Nasukawa wins this fight. I do. Now, Inoue is much more experienced. Obviously, has 3-4 times the amount of fights that Tenshin Nasukawa has in his career. But listen, what I've seen from Nasukawa, this is a man who I do believe has a chance to become a superstar in the sport of boxing. Not just Japanese superstar. I mean, superstar in this whole sport of boxing. What we've seen from this man, his following, his branding has been phenomenal. Already accomplished so many great things in kickboxing. And to make the transition as seamlessly as this man has into boxing, undefeated, 2 KOs, already fighting for a world championship. Listen, this man is special. Now, I could be wrong here, but I do see Tenshin Nasukawa coming with the win here. This is a man that has great speed, reflexes, creativity. He's already beaten Jason Maloney, Jonathan Rodriguez. As for Inoue, though, he's the former WBC interim champion, and he's a technical discipline and world-level experience, 3-1 in title fights. I think Inoue has a chance to win here. I do. He's got the veteran experience. He's had all these different things, but Nasukawa's speed, we saw it, and I had big questions. What was he going to look like against Maloney in his previous fight? Well, he answered the bell quite well. He looked phenomenal in that fight. He did his job. I think it's going to help him. Now, if Nasukawa burns out in the final half of that fight, with Inoue's experience, that could be a lot of problems. But I do think Nasukawa is going to be just fine. I think Tenshin Nasukawa will emerge champion with the WBC title in that fight. Mikito Nakano, he's fighting the American Ra'is Aleem, who has been a former guest on the show. He's making the journey from America to Japan. Best luck to him. He is fighting for the IBF Final Eliminator. Now, for those that are not familiar with Nakano, he's 14-0, 13 KO, southpaw fighter, 5'7", 65.5-inch reach. He's 30 years of age with a 93% KO ratio. Aleem, 22-1, 12 KOs, orthodox fighter, 5'6". He's 6'8" or 68.5-inch reach, 35 years of age with a 55% KO ratio. Now, for Nakano, he is the Japanese knockout artist, nearly perfect KO ratio, great power, ranked number 7 in the IBF, and he'll be fighting at home in Tokyo, Japan. Aleem is making the journey from America, obviously to Japan, as I said. He's an American contender, number 5, slick boxer and puncher, and he has great experience against top fighters. Here's what I see happening. I love Ra'is Aleem. I think he's going to put up a good fight, but Nakano's a good fighter, man. If you have not watched him, go watch him on Monday morning. He is a powerful puncher. He has great knockout ratio. He is a problem inside that ring. He's going to come in much younger than Ra'is Aleem is. Also, his power and momentum should help him be the favorite in this eliminator. So I do think Nakano will win this fight. I like Ra'is Aleem. His veteran experience could help him, but I just think the power, the ability, the agility, all those different aspects of Nakano is going to carry over and give him the win in this fight. You also have on that fight Tomoya Tsuboi versus Carlos Cuadras. This is going to be an interesting fight as well between a young Japanese man. Keep your eye on Tsuboi. I think he's going to possibly come away with a victorious series fighting Carlos Cuadras, who has fought 44 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw in this situation, but it's not been against the best of opponents. So we'll see what happens there. And I'll see. I mean, he's obviously gotten awards against Estrada, Chocolito, Rusavani. He's fought good opponents before. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. But yes, very good test at the super flyweight division for the young Japanese fighter. Other notable fight going down this weekend is Luka Plantic. He's making his return to the ring against Shadri Bawagi. That fight's going to be going down. I'll let you guys know the updates of how all these fights go down on Monday's show. All right, let's transition now into some boxing news. It came out last night, right before I actually went live. I decided to put it on today's show. Canelo Alvarez has declared that he wants to rematch Terence Bud Crawford and said the second fight is now in negotiations for 2026. You know, I was with the assumption and, I was okay with the fact that Canelo Bud Crawford was going to be a one-off fight. I feel like we saw what we needed to see from both men. Bud Crawford did his job. He became world champion, undisputed, made one of the most significant wins in the history of boxing. He did his job and was now going to move on to 160 or whatever it was. And for Canelo, he was just going to have his farewell tour, final couple fights of his career. I wasn't really wanting or expecting a rematch. Why? Because if this fight ends up going down, it's going to be a long, long night for Canelo Alvarez. Terence Bud Crawford has already figured out Canelo Alvarez. He already figured him out. He beat him down, and he learned that he can take his power. And on top of that, Canelo was hurt a couple of times by Bud Crawford. If you're Bud Crawford heading into this fight, you have not a single worry in the world. You know what you're capable of doing. You know that you can go out into that ring, and you could put a beating on Canelo Alvarez. And might I even say this? Bud Crawford has a chance of stopping Canelo Alvarez if they do the rematch. I'm not as excited about the rematch as I was for the first fight because I think Bud Crawford has got them all figured out, and this is going to be an easy win for Bud Crawford, and they'll move on from there. Now, I get it, though. Both guys will get a big payday. So here's what I propose. If Bud Crawford wants to stick at 168, do the rematch, he better demand that same contract that Canelo Alvarez did. You better get paid big money. I'm talking 150 million type of dollars right there. That's what I'm saying Bud Crawford needs. Go for that massive, massive generational wealth bag. And if you don't get that for Bud Crawford, then move on with your own journey. Move back down to 160 and go for your legacy. But if you can get that $150 million to fight Canelo Alvarez, if you're Bud Crawford, you sign that paperwork, you take care of business, and you annihilate Canelo Alvarez in that fight. Anthony Joshua confirms his new training team. Anthony Joshua has said he will no longer be coached by Ben Davison and is training in Spain with Team Alexander Usyk for his fight against Jake Paul. Very interesting information coming out right there. If you're Anthony Joshua, you make a good transition here. I love the partnership with Ben Davison. I thought it worked amazing when I first saw it. In the back of my mind, I thought, the first reaction I had was, listen, why? Now, what happened against Dubois happened against Dubois, but he got caught. It is what it is. But I started thinking about it. We know AJ has power. Nobody has ever questioned the AJ power, but what we have questioned is his ring ability, his skill set in boxing, his defense, and those aspects. And who better to go learn from than Alexander Usyk in that team? If you are Anthony Joshua, this move makes perfect sense. I think him and Ben Davison were great together. They had their time together, but moving on for his final couple fights of his career and going with Team Alexander Usyk in Spain is a great move for him. I think it's going to do wonders for him. Obviously, he's going to destroy Jake Paul. And anyone that watched the very first press conference, it's a much bigger fight than it was against Tank Davis. And on top of that, just pointing this out, Jake Paul looks scared. I don't blame him. They've known each other for a long time, Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. They've done different things together and hung out. There's been different occurrences. They've known each other, but it's always been in a friendly way. But something you could see when they faced off today, and Jake Paul is having to look all the way up at Anthony Joshua. As big of a man as AJ is, and Jake Paul's not a small guy, but he's not like AJ. And I think you could see something in Jake Paul's eyes that was like, all right, yeah, this is going to be a problem. And I think it was very obvious. I think we all know what's going to happen. Jake Paul is going to get knocked out. But for Anthony Joshua, this is what's so critical. He was always going to fight a tune-up bum fighter in his upcoming fight. This time around, he just gets to get paid a lot of money and gets a highlight KO against Jake Paul. But if we're looking at Anthony Joshua, training with Alexander Usyk is huge for him for two reasons. One of which is it's going to help him with his biggest liability, his biggest issue inside the ring, which is defense and ring ability. And on top of that, if he really does go forth with one of the Tyson Fury fights, he's going to need some more skill set. He's never going to be on Tyson Fury's level. He's still going to need the KO to beat Tyson Fury. But if he can at least have some form of better intangibles and ability within the ring, that would help him out tremendously. So I do love this move from Anthony Joshua. I'm excited to see what it looks like for the limited time we will see against Jake Paul in the ring in December. Anderson Silva and Tyron Woodley will be on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. That got announced as well as the rest of the undercard. Arnold Kahagi, remember, he fought Rafael Espinoza this past weekend in Mexico. Yeah, well, we have an update on his injury. He underwent emergency surgery on his right eye following his stoppage loss to Rafael Espinoza last week. The Ukrainian's eye appeared to be badly injured in round 5, but he for some reason was allowed to fight on until his corner pulled him out in round 10. I said this very obviously when I talked about the fight recap on Monday's show. His corner failed him. That was a beatdown of a fight. Espinoza had his card. It was not a competitive fight as expected. That fight should have been stopped by at the latest round 7. His card his corner let the fight go on all the way through 10 rounds irresponsibly. Now he possibly has a career-ending injury. Horrible corner management, but it is what it is. Can't do anything about that now. Now, on top of that, here's the biggest concern I have about the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua undercard. Originally, the best fight on the card with the Tank Davis and Jake Paul fight was Gary Antoine Russell versus Andy Hirayaka. Now that fight's off the card. Why? Because Premier PBC is no longer involved with the promotion here, and they're not going to make that fight happen for the WBA mandatory title fight. It just didn't happen. So my hope is that this fight gets moved to a later date, and according to reports, it makes sense since it's obviously PBC is not involved. And so I think Mike Coppinger posted it saying that this fight will get rescheduled. Great news right there. This is an amazing fight. Hopefully we get to see it in the near future. It's unfortunate it just did not happen on the Tank Davis Jake Paul card. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin is set to be named the president of world boxing ahead of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. He just recently turned 44 years, or in April, he turned 44 years old and had previously stated his intent to retire from professional boxing if he was elected. Congratulations to Triple G. He deserves it. I think it's a great person to take over international boxing now for the Olympics. Great opportunity for him right there. He's earned it, deserves it. Congrats to Gennady Golovkin. And I think nobody really expected him to return to the ring, but it's now official. His career is now over. With that being said, I have no more things to get into on today's show. I don't see any more comments in the chat. So I'll be wrapping up today's show with that. I do appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in today's show. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your guys' day and weekend. Enjoy the stack weekend of fight cards. I'll be back live on Monday to talk to you guys. May God bless you guys all. Have a blessed rest of your guys' day and weekend. I'll be back live tomorrow. God bless you guys all. With that being said, SchuZ out. God bless y'all.